What's up, YouTube? I'm Brett from Rants. As always, guys, if y'all enjoy our content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave that comment down below. We're on the road to 1,000. We hope you guys can help us get there. Alright, so this will be our Season 4, the final season of Castlevania review here on Rants. Overall, I've enjoyed this series basically from the first episode on. I thought 1 and 2 was great, fantastic. I thought 3 kind of let me down a little bit. 4 was better than 3, though I didn't find it spectacular. And let me just tell y'all the reason why. I feel like Season 3 is very key to Season 4. In that I felt like Season 3 didn't set up Season 4 as much as it was a continuation of Season 3. And by that I mean, okay, a lot of the villains that we got, in Season 4 weren't in Season 3. But a lot of the same events, trying to bring back Dracula and all these crazy people around the world trying to bring back Dracula, and the Belmont and all of them, and Sypha trying to fight off these crazy nut jobs that are trying to bring him back. It just felt like a continuation of Season 3. It didn't really feel that different. For the most part, it didn't feel that epic in a lot of ways. I felt like Season 1 and Season 2 really felt epic. I mean, the world was at stake. The annihilation of the human race was at stake. Season 3 kind of just felt like it lowered the bar in that regard when it comes to stakes. I felt like Season 4 continued that in a lot of different ways. But I'll go ahead and get into it. Alucard. Alucard was one of those characters that, just the name alone makes you think of, something interesting like this. Part vampire, part human, who has the best traits of both. You think of somebody that just, is constantly going in there and wiping out demons and taking on, big baddies like Dracula and things like that. I felt like throughout really this series in general, I feel like they didn't really use him right. I'm not saying he had to be in an action scene every single episode. He didn't. I just wish that he didn't just was there to mope around in a castle, being sad. I mean, we saw that all throughout Season 3, and we saw it continued in Season 4. And finally, at the end of Season 4, he's like, you know what? I'm going to act on this. I kind of feel like Alucard. If Alucard, or the Alucard from the games, I feel like he would have thought it his life mission to go in there and destroy anything and everything that Dracula had created and the problems Dracula had created. I felt like a lot of these night creatures would have been, his main goal throughout this season, even last season, to just wipe completely out. Instead, he seemed very content of just kind of sitting back, letting these night creatures just destroy and ravage these towns without mainly a master in a lot of ways. He knew Sypha and Belmont was out there going and fighting this fight, but instead he just kind of like hung on his own, and then at the very end decided to take action. And I just felt like it was just a little too late, in my view. And I will say, look, we're talking about a vampire or half vampire that can take on armies by himself. And I felt like they kind of weakened him. Especially in Season 4, I felt like, yeah, he was taking on some of those individual, night creatures on their own, but he was struggling at times. There was times that, hey, it looked like he might not beat them. So it didn't feel like he was at his full potential in a lot of ways. So I kind of felt like throughout the season he was misused, but throughout really the series he was misused. Now another really I thought important and interesting storyline has really been the Hector and Isaac storyline. And it took a surprising turn. I'm not going to lie. I thought there was going to be one of them was going to have to die, if not both. Did it take the turn that I wanted? Maybe I did kind of want a bloodier ending for that. I kind of did. I kind of felt like Isaac or Hector should have been able to take out Isaac. I feel like, I don't know, maybe I'm kind of tragic in that way. I feel like the perfect ending for Isaac would have been for him to find his humanity and either die protecting someone or to die after getting his humanity, and that would have been tragic in that regard. They never really got to use the one. It was too late for him to use this new outlook on life. We didn't get that. No, instead we got Isaac just being like from the get-go, you know what, Hector, all's forgiven. You don't owe me anything. Like, I'm not going to take your life. Even Isaac was really surprised by that. Isaac thought he was going to kill him. And I kind of felt like that was kind of a disappointing turn where Hector's like, Hector's like, we're going to, not Hector, but Isaac, that, hey, you know what, I'm going to live life, I'm going to protect people and all this other kind of stuff, I'm going to make a better world, and I'm like, that's not really the route I hoped he would take, but unfortunately that's the route we got. Now, as far as Hector is concerned, Hector and Lenore are the most confusing people out of this whole series. Lenore literally betrayed him, enslaved him for eternity, basically broke his will, basically made him create night creatures for his sadistic, or her sadistic vampire females that she's, sisters with. And then this season, he just seemed like all's forgotten. It's kind of like the Hector and Isaac thing. It's like everything's forgotten. We are, we're best buddies. I might even be in love with you. I mean, it felt that way throughout. It really did. And about halfway through, I accepted it as what it was. And the ending of it felt so out of place. I felt like it. This is just me, and this is just me contemplating how I would have done it in this show. And you can agree with me, disagree with me. That's fine. I feel like Lenore and Hector in that regard. Lenore should have had either one or two reactions to Carmilla's death. She could have looked at Hector betraying her and killed Hector, or either Hector killed Lenore because of what she had done to him, which would have been very fitting. Or, I would even go so far to say Lenore could have accepted a life with Hector and them kind of lived that life out. I would have been cool with any of those situations. Instead, what we got was Lenore, everything ending, and then Lenore being like, I want to see what a sunset looks like, or a sunrise looks like. And I'm like, you had done some terrible things. Like, you were literally a part of a group of vampires who were wanting to enslave humans as cattle. And the best that they had for you, a death, is you to just be like, oh, well, you know what? I don't want to be a slave in this. I'm just going to go out on my own terms. Kind of like what Carmilla did. And I'm like, no. In a show like Castlevania, I guess I expected brutal deaths and brutal outcomes. And I didn't get that. And I was really kind of shocked. I was definitely shocked by Lenore. But I was shocked by Hector's, just the way he felt towards her and the way he reacted towards her. It was just strange all the way around. It wasn't a love. It wasn't a respect. It wasn't even a submission kind of thing with him. It was just a blah thing. And it just felt... It didn't feel right. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel rewarding in any way. So no, I absolutely hated the whole Hector Lenore thing. I just felt like it was just a waste. At the end of the day, it just felt like a waste. Now, one person that I did think got a fitting ending and went out like a boss was Carmilla. Like, Carmilla was like, you know what? I'm beaten by Isaac. I'm going to die here, but I'm not going to let you get the satisfaction of taking my head. I'm going to take myself out, and I'm going to try to take you out in the process with me. I felt like that was the way Carmilla had been ever since her introduction. I think she died the right way. She got a fitting end. I felt that's the way I imagined Carmilla going out. She's psychotic. She isn't going, but she's stubborn. She's proud. She's not going to allow Isaac or anybody else to go in there and take her out. That's just not going to happen. I kind of was hoping maybe if there was any regret that I had with Carmilla was that it was going to be maybe one of her sisters that were going to betray her and take her out. And unfortunately, that just was not the case. And that being said, Striga and Morana storyline to me was just cheesy. I guess you could say it was cheesy all the way around. Morana's is it Morana or Morgana? It's one of Morana, I think's her name. You have her not liking the plan and just just following suit with it. And it bothered me because I'm like, when did Carmilla become the head of them? Like, when did Carmilla become the one that had the plan that was, and then everybody just followed suit with it? That Striga, Morana, Lenore, all of them didn't have a say in it. That they just followed along with this plan that basically completely uprooted them. That they didn't even feel was legit, or felt good to them even as vampires. Like, Striga makes that comment, and she did have that one amazing scene where she goes out there and she just takes those farmers out in the suit in broad daylight. Like, that was an amazing scene. That was a brutal scene. That was probably one of the highlights of this season. But at the end of the day, she was like, I didn't take out soldiers, I took out farmers. Like, is this really how I, as a warrior, imagine spending the rest of my days? Like, I mean, I felt like she had a very good point. I felt like she should have, I felt like if I was over the show, I would have had Striga and Morana go back and them at least let Carmilla know that they betrayed her of some way. And I felt like that would have been something that could have led Carmilla closer to the edge, whether she would do something crazy and rash. That would have, to me, that was how I would want to go. But the idea of them just being like, you know what, we're just love-crossed, lovers, and or star-crossed lovers, and we're just going to live out our days. We're used to being queens, but you know what? We're just gonna live our days in like fishing village or something. And I'm like, that don't make any sense. Like, you have this gigantic army. One, first, what are you gonna do with it? Second, um, you're gonna be less protected now. You're not. It's not gonna be such an easy life. You're not gonna have a very long life. Like, humans are going to find you, destroy you eventually. Because look, you go into a regular town and then they start realizing, oh, it's these people that are that is the reason why people are going missing and all that. I'm like, you're not going to live very long. So I just felt like them just trying to play it off as they're going to live just normal lives after that. I didn't like it. I didn't like that at all. One thing I did enjoy, when it come to lovers though, I've enjoyed it from the very beginning of their romance with Sypha and Trevor's romance. I think they were polar opposites, but they worked good together. Sypha was the more serious one. Belmont was the one that, just didn't care, lived a really sarcastic, cynical life. But it worked. It worked. And I thought they worked off each other very well. I enjoyed their relationship from beginning to end. But again, their relationship, it all goes back to what I thought was going to be something brutal and something tragic, because this is Castlevania after all. Like, I expect tragic. I guess I expect tragic with Castlevania, anything with it. And I felt like Belmont, in the very end, saying what he said, acknowledging that he knew he had a son on the way, was going to give his life for the woman he loved and his unborn child. I thought that would have actually been a really fitting end for him. I really did. I felt like the showrunners, when it come to that, and I felt this way with Dracula as well, I felt like the showrunners didn't want, for some weird reason, didn't want to do what was necessary, do the tragic thing. I think they wanted to take the easy way out about, oh, you thought they were dead. No. They actually lived a, peaceful, harmonious life. Like, I just felt like that wasn't what Belmont was made to do. I felt like that wasn't what Dracula was made to do as well. And I feel like you take them out of a warrior setting and you give them a peaceful life, they're not going to be comfortable in that situation. They're going to be roamers. They're going to be looking for that fight. I felt like Belmont was one of those guys. Like, yeah, him and Sypha worked good in the meantime, but can you imagine Trevor Belmont growing old and dying, just happy and content? I don't see that. He's a fighter. He's going to want to go out fighting, and I felt like fighting death itself would have been the perfect way for him to go out. That being said, even with Barney, I knew there was something weird about Barney from the very beginning. I'm like, why are they making such a big deal out of this nobody? Something about, the way that other vampire that was in cahoots with him, kind of was threatening to him, and he just didn't back off. Kind of made me think, okay, there's more to him than he's letting on. I kind of felt like there was more to him than, definitely what he let on. But I also, at the end of the day, was shocked that he was deaf. I really was. Simply because it made sense for him to be deaf, but there was nothing that really led up to make me think death, other than, if you play any of the Castlevania games, death is a big part of those games, and he hadn't shown up so far. So I guess maybe that might have been a hint that there was something going on. But overall, I enjoyed Barney. I enjoyed Death's persona. I thought they did a really good job with that, even to the very end. I just liked his dialogue. His dialogue was awesome all the way through. The only thing I saw wrong with anything when it come to Death was, why did he show himself to Saint Germain at all until all of it was over, until his final plan was finished and done with? Why did he have to get to the point where he felt so confident in himself and in his plan that right before it was finished, he had to tell his master plan? Like, it's like a villain that instead of just killing the protagonist, has to tell their story of what they're going to do, their evil plan, so that they can give the protagonist time to escape and take them down. Like, I felt like that was kind of one of those situations. If there was only one regret that I had with Barney or Death, it was that fact. I was like, why did he have to do that? Like, that made no sense. That only led to his initial destruction, but he was, or it led to the destruction of his plan. Of course, he didn't think it was going to lead to the destruction of himself, but he had to have thought at one moment, hey, this could be the end of the current plan that I'm doing, and do I want to do that? So yeah, I was kind of like a little disappointed by that. Saint Germain, he just completely went off the deep end. And I didn't like that at first, but then at the same time, I'm like, wow, that's kind of fitting to a certain extent. Like, he was a fun character. That just, I don't know, it felt like there was something underneath that was boiling, like that he was capable of bad things. I was really shocked that, when he went into the infinite corridor and he come across that other supposed alchemist that turned out to be Death, I felt like his turn to the dark side was maybe a little bit too brash, because he did kill that one guy and he felt terrible about it. But then he comes back and he's like, oh, well, I'm going to put this whole town to death if I have to. Or all human civilization to death if I have to, as long as I get to tell the woman I love that I loved her. Like, I thought that was maybe not fitting for his character. I'm glad he did get a small bit of redemption at the end. But overall, I did not have a problem with how they went with him. You gotta admit, if you are a fan of this series, the one person you do not want to have a happy ending is Dracula. And Dracula and Lisa actually get that happy ending. They get the weirdest happy ending of any of these characters. They get to live their lives in peace, with apparently without regret. Like, I thought when they were brought back, and I didn't understand the plan of Death anyway. You were going to put Dracula and Lisa into the same body, and because they were in the same body, it was going to drive them insane, and it was going to make them kill a lot of people. And I'm like, how was that even possible? So you think that driving both of them insane, that they're going to be capable at that point of, creating carnage throughout the entire world? Like, that doesn't really seem like a foolproof plan in the first place. So I thought that plan was really dumb. But the idea, let me just put it this way. It kind of bothered me when you see that image of Lisa in hell, and you kind of think, was she deserving of going to hell? And for the most part, I would say no. But then when they come back and she finds out that Dracula was going to destroy all of mankind because they had done something to her, I'm like, at that point you'd be like, whoa, buddy, I love you, but you've taken that a step too far. You're crazy. Like, the idea that she wanted to be with him after learning what he had done and kind of being cool with it makes me think hell is the exact place she needed to be. Like, she didn't need to be roaming this earth. She was pretty wicked in her own right. Like, you can't tell me that love would have blinded you to mass murder in that way. Like, that's a stretch for me. I mean, we're talking about human extinction, what he was wanting to do, and she's like, oh, you wouldn't do that for me. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy. Even Dracula was that crazy. Like, to me, at the end of the day, I felt like Lisa was crazier than what Dracula was. And so, no, I didn't like that. I didn't like the part of where Dracula wasn't the maniac that he was when he died. Like, I kind of felt like, so you're saying now that he's got his wife back, then, this whole I'm going to destroy mankind has just completely and totally evaporated. It doesn't change the fact that they took her from you in the first place. And now, if you have any remorse for anything that you had done, it's their cause. So why would you forget that and just leave mankind alone? That was crazy to me. And the idea of when they're talking about maybe going and talking to Alucard, I'm like, they were going to create mass extinction of the human race, and they think that they can patch things up with Alucard. Like, that seems crazy. That was so beyond me. So no, I did not enjoy that ending with it. I felt like Dracula deserved to be in hell. He didn't deserve to be there with his wife. I felt like maybe he wanted to go a fitting ending is her going to heaven and him being in hell and knowing he's forever now because of his actions completely and totally separated from her. That would have been fitting in a lot of ways. That's not what we got. But guys, that's my take on season 4 of Castlevania and just really the series in general. I thought it was better than season 3, but not as good as seasons 1 and 2. Let's just put it that way. I thought I can live with the ending of it when it comes to Belmont, and Sypha. It's hard for me to get past the Dracula and Lisa part. That part just doesn't feel right at all with me. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I felt like there was a lot that went wrong this season, but it distracted me enough with the blood and the gore that I will say I'll give it pretty good ratings. I would give it like a 7 out of 10. I would. Yeah, everything, I've named the things that I think are wrong with it, but were they enough for me to be like, I hate it? No, it wasn't that way with me. Actually, I enjoyed almost every episode of that. I wasn't bored. I wasn't bored at all. So, overall, I would definitely give it about a 7 out of 10. It's something to watch if you're not really into Castlevania, but you do kind of like horror movies, kind of the blood and gore kind of thing. Check it out. I mean, and if you're into that and haven't checked out Castlevania before, I would definitely recommend this series. I think it's amazing. I think it lived up to the standard that the games had set. And I'll always, when it comes to that kind of stuff, the nostalgia stuff with me, I'm always on board with any show that stays true to the source material in a lot of ways. But overall, guys, let me know what y'all think. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Do you think season 4 was the best one? Did you think it got a fitting ending? If this is truly the last season, let me know. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.